That game pissed me off. Everything about that game pissed me off. Everything. The Bears' performance, the way a national broadcast and all day the national media and the little whispering it, because you said it. You know where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
You know who this team wants to coach.
Yes.
You know who they want to coach.
But are they going to even be allowed? Like, that's kind of the fun part of watching the team president be there and be like, oh, yeah, let me look around and see what's going on here. Write these notes out.
That was hilarious. That he walks out like Punxsutawney Phil.
Hey!
There's Kevin Warren, his bright orange tie and his crisp white shirt.
Hey, man.
And look at me.
I'm not mad at his fashion game.
I'm standing here and I am taking notes.
Would you rather him not take notes? Because I'd rather him take notes.
No, but just the fact that he wanted to be seen, he walked right out there.
It's Sunday Night Football, baby.
He strutted right in front of those cameras. He's like,
that's right.
Get a load of this.
That's right. I'm out here taking notes.
I'm taking notes. I'm taking names. I'm writing it down. I'm Kevin Warren.
He should take names.
Uh-huh.
So why did the
whole thing, the culmination is so much stupid. We've done this stupid ass quarterbacking stuff for so long, and that was the apotheosis of it. And all those Collinsworth isn't making that up out of whole cloth. Schefter isn't tweeting that because he just had some epiphany.
Yeah,
come on. They're telling you who they want to coach.
That's kind of what was the fun thing for me at the end of the night, where there are a group of people that wanted to see Tyson Bagent succeed, and a lot of them were like, wait a minute, this feels dirty. Like, it seems so unfair to Tyson Bagent that people are going out of their way to bus toss Justin Fields. The idea of you don't have to blow someone else's candle out to make yours shine brighter was on display by all the things that you're talking about. We can have the conversation about how incredible this is for Tyson Bagent, how it's so beyond. No one ever really gets to the point. We talked with our guy Tim Jenkins last week, who was in a similar situation to Tyson Bagent.
We said it was already a movie.
It's already a minor miracle.
It's already a movie that this
he
guy
started 2 games.
He started a game and he won it.
Yeah. It's a minor miracle that he started 2 games in the NFL. But for some reason, it can't just be that. And it can't just be, well, let's look at him critically and honestly. And the thing is, like, the thing that really bugs me is last night I was talking about Bagent and someone was like, well, what about Fields? Like, why can't we just talk about Bagent then? Why can't we talk about the game that we saw him play? We'll get back to Fields as soon as his thumb is ready, and he'll have the opportunity. And he's probably not going to be the Bears quarterback, at least the long-term solution for their quarterbacking issues. But for you to think that Bagent was going to be that is silly. And I responded to someone that said, oh, you and Dan seem like you wanted him to fail. No, we just know how the movie ends. And we've been trying to tell you how the movie ends, but you just won't. You don't want us to spoil it for you. And I get that, like, spoiler alert. You don't want us to spoil it for you, but you know how the movie ends too. You've seen this guy. It may not be the exact same story, but you've seen it. You saw it play out. I'm not gonna damn a person like Kyle Orton, because I think Kyle Orton is a little bit better, but you've seen Craig Krenzel. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've seen Brian Hoyer. Tyson Bagent is in the same category as a lot of these guys where, yeah, he can have an NFL career, and we should applaud that.
It's an amazing story.
We should applaud that.
I kept saying that. To say he could be a functional NFL backup is an immense compliment to somebody with his pedigree.
To say that he should be, and I said it last night, like, I think that he deserves an opportunity to be rostered, whether it's here or someplace else. I think that he has earned the right to continue his journey as an NFL quarterback, whatever that journey is. It's unlikely that he is a long-term solution as a starter. And here's the thing. The thing that made me mad, and I had some interactions with people last week. Some guy that claims to be a scout or whatever, or does scouting stuff. Arm strength in the NFL is really not throwing a deep ball.
It's not distance.
Now look, there are some guys that do throw a great deep ball as part of their overall arm strength. Like they're definitely guys that can do it. Aaron Rodgers is one of those dudes where, he's the Hail Mary GOAT because of the way that he's able to throw the ball, manipulate the ball, and have it fall down like a punt. There are guys who do that. The way that the arm strength is judged in the NFL isn't that. If you got a little bit of touch, and Bagent actually, I think he does have some decent touch on passes that go beyond 10 yards. The throw to Mooney, great. That's a beautiful throw. Almost every real college quarterback can make that throw, okay? A lot of high school quarterbacks can make that throw. The throws where you saw him struggle is if he's just a little bit off time over the middle, that ball gets picked off.
The hospital balls.
The ones that are getting
The
receivers hurt in the
Yes.
middle of the field. If we're talking about guys running deep outs, that's where you see NFL arm strength. And it doesn't look like he has it. Him throwing a Hail Mary, for example. There are a lot of guys that can do that. He wasn't allowed to do that. Maybe it's because they didn't want another interception on his ledger, which also makes me question what it is that you're trying to do with Bagent. Like if you've come to the conclusion, well, they didn't want him to get another interception. What is that about? Like, if you're stat padding with your quarterback, that's ridiculous. There's a lot of good in what it is that he does. And I think there's a lot of, you can see the functionality of him as someone that you would want in your practices, someone that you would want pushing your starter. And I don't mean to be the starter, but doing good stuff, putting good stuff on tape, helping the starter out. But you're fooling yourself if you think that this ends with him being an alternative. Unfortunately, the alternative for Justin Fields, if you're fatigued by Fields, is in the draft more than likely.
That's going to be the next guy. And to insult Justin Fields, he's hurt. The guy got hurt. And to say, well, the coaches are going to have Justin Fields sitting down and watching what this guy's doing. You're going to ask a VP in a company to watch what an intern is doing?
I think
that is an insult.
I thought it was pretty poor by Collinsworth to frame it that way, where you're asking the starting quarterback of the team who's hurt. That's what bothered me.
Yes. They didn't even acknowledge that he was hurt.
It bothered me that they treated this as if, and I think I know why they treated it that way. They didn't treat this like, here's a backup guy that is filling in and doing admirably as the backup. They treated it like, well, there might be a new sheriff in town, and even though I'm going to ignore the passes that were almost picked off and the ones that actually were, I'm going to ignore all of that stuff to try and tell you to fit the narrative of what you started out with. And if you want to start out your broadcast with the interview of Tyson Bagent, I'm good with that. I think it's great. If you want to start out saying, look at what's happened, look at him getting a win, it's very unlikely, it's Hollywood-esque, all of that stuff, I think it's good and I think it's deserved. But once the game is telling you that the thing that you went in looking for isn't happening, to double and triple and quadruple down on it, I thought it was beneath the broadcast of Sunday Night Football that they did that. And I was surprised that it took Collinsworth never came off of it. Tirico, at least at the end, was like, well, Justin Fields is going to be healthy soon and he'll probably be back. But Collinsworth never seemed to let it go. And it seemed like he didn't let it go because of what he was told.
Yes, that's the point. They don't make this stuff up. The story is this stuff, the whispers, the, hey, I don't know, it'd be nice if Justin could. They're telling you who they would prefer to coach. They don't want to, they would much rather have somebody who could run their stuff, get the ball out, make their reads, than have to figure out how to best use the talents of a unicorn.
Are we back to dogmatic offensive coordinators that only see their system being run and that's it?
And then need to cover their ass when they can't figure out how to adapt what they do to what they have.
I mean, I'm sure Luke Getty is a hell of a salesman because he sold Collinsworth. And it may have been polls too that they want to distance and divorce themselves from Justin Fields publicly. All right, you can make the I won't fight you on he's been given the opportunity and he hasn't done as well as you hope. I'm gonna name check the person on Twitter that did the research on this, but it was really interesting looking and trying to digest what Justin Fields is. And this person went through the last 17 games for Justin Fields, and you know what they found? That in the last 17 games, his passer rating is 91. Which is still probably below where you need a quarterback to be, like that number to be in the high 90s now for starting quarterback. He's attributed for 4,300 total yards between rushing and throwing. And it's the touchdown to interception ratio, even before you start adding in the rushing touchdowns for him, is pretty good. The last time that we saw Justin Fields complete a game, he was going pretty good. But I get it. Like, if you haven't seen what you wanted at this point, and we're talking about 30 starts, I'm all right with you deciding that you want to move on from Justin Fields.
Yeah, that's going to be a draft pick. Is what that's going to be.
What bothers me is this kind of bus tossing of him, and that's what it felt like. It felt like whomever, whether you want to put this on Collinsworth, maybe misinterpreting what he was told, or the Bears clearly telling him, oh, well, you know, we've got a guy and we think you'll see how well he runs our offense. And I tell you what, our starter could learn a little bit from what Tyson Bagent is out there doing. And then you really look at what Bagent did. And granted, there were bad things that happened and drops that shouldn't have happened to him. But guess what? Those are things that happen with bad football teams, and they've happened to Justin Fields too. Last year in particular, that game that they lost in week 5, one of the reasons that they lost is because Darnell Mooney lost a ball in the lights that would have been a touchdown that would have won the game. So all of that stuff, you have to mix it in and say, which quarterback has not just all of the requisite quarterback operation stuff. Because again, you can find those type of guys everywhere. Tim Jenkins is one of those guys. Like, if you put him out there and you gave him a full training camp, he could very easily look competent in running it, but he's not going to be able to do the special stuff that you need to win. And there's not going to be, if you're talking about a guy in the pocket, he's not going to command it and be able to rip throws like the guy that you saw on the other side. If you were looking for how it's supposed to look from the pocket, like if you're trying to find a quarterback and what it's supposed to look like in the pocket, forget about Bagent, forget about Justin Fields. Justin Herbert was right there for you last night with a broken finger on his hand. And you never saw him look flustered, which is another issue that we need to get into because the Bears defense doesn't get after anybody. They're still sitting on 10 sacks as a team. Still. And that's 5 away from the next closest team that's bad at getting to the quarterback. You want to know what arm strength in the NFL looks like? It's those throws that were made on the other side of the game. And if you walked away thinking that Tyson Bagent is close to just having some of the physical skills, and I know that Herbert is a freak when it comes to some of the physical skills, but that's kind of what you need if you're going to win at the NFL level. There has to be something freakish about the guy that plays, or he has to be a combination of freak athlete or complete genius behind center.
I'm just sick of the big picture of what's going on here. I'm sick about it. If you don't want to coach Justin Fields, if that's too much for you, if you can't handle him, then you suck as a coach and bring in some other people to do it. That's your damn problem. This guy called out the coaches earlier in the year, and he said, look, I'm overloaded with stuff. I've got too much on my plate here. I want to get out there and play the kind of game I'm capable of playing. And what is it? He said coaching. And then they made him apologize for it. They made him apologize for finally publicly saying, screw it. These coaches are messing with me. They're trying to ask me to do stuff I'm not comfortable doing. And he said it. And now it's like, well, they just ignore the fact that he's hurt. And the moment they get their chance, the moment they get to national TV, then they start that little backstabbing whisper campaign. It sucks. It sucks. If you don't want to coach him, get out. And Kevin Warren and Ryan Poles or whatever it is, don't make this mistake again. Whoever the next guy is, whether it's Justin, I feel terrible.
I'm not sure that Poles is innocent in this.
I'm not sure he is either. But this is dirty pool.
That's
ugly.
exactly what it is.
It's ugly. It's ugly. The overtones are ugly. The ass covering is ugly. And that's why a lot of it pissed me off. Because you don't have to be the most perceptive person around this team to understand what's going on here.
No.
You don't.
That's what I'm saying. Like people who are genuinely, like from my mentions last night, people who are genuinely like, wow, this is a cool story with Tyson Bagent, and I hope he does well. By the end of the night, we're like, what the hell was that?
Right.
Like, why does the other guy have to get grief? It's one thing if he walked away with a 300-yard, 3-touchdown. If he would have had Will Levis's line in last night's game, for example, that'd be one thing. It's a quarterback that threw 2 interceptions and could have thrown 5.